How
Hi,
are
my dear
you?
friend. How
Hi.
are
Oh,
you?
I'm so good. How are you, you wonderful
Oh,
woman?
right back at you. One of my
Oh,
favorites. They're so lucky that they get to meet you.
oh.
I can't wait for them to hear all the cool and wonderful and helpful and empowering things that you have to teach and share. So to start off, I know you, and I know all the many reasons to love you, and I want them to get to know you very quickly and speedily.
Okay.
So I'd love for you to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you help.
You are such a, and everyone, she's such a pro because she knows how long-winded I am.
Oh,
So hi everyone. And yes, what a joy it is to be here with you, Karen, and all of you. I'm Jennifer Hamady. I'm the founder of findingyourvoice.com. And that is what I do. I help people find their voices. I help them get out of the way, whatever's in the way of their self-expression, and more importantly, their ease in expressing and their joy.
I love that. Now, you work with both singers and performers. That's like one category, and then also
Yeah.
professionals. And and actually, probably everything you do helps people in their personal lives too, not just how they present themselves professionally, but in all areas. Because we use our voice and we express ourselves in so many different kinds of relationships. Tell everybody a little bit about the actors and singers and performers that you've worked with.
Mhm.
Some of them. You've worked with some pretty well-known people too. So
Yes, it
sure,
was.
but we'll start there.
Yeah.
We'll start.
So yeah, I started my career as a professional singer, and I did a lot of such, I mean, wonderful things, great memories. I sang backup with Stevie Wonder and Patti LaBelle. I was the lead singer on a tour with Cirque du Soleil for 2 years, which was amazing. Um, Everything from Kid Rock to Christina Aguilera and Def Leppard, and just had the time of my life. And to your sort of point slash question about the range of people I work with, I started working with singers initially because I saw these technical and emotional challenges with getting the results they wanted, not just vocal, but experiential. And I went back to grad school in psychology to understand the underpinnings of that. And then over the years, my practice has broadened from performers that are having those technical and emotional issues to, as you said, professionals and others who just are feeling blocked or stopped or stifled in their communication, their relationships, their presentation, their performance, their communication, all of that.
And when you work with singers and performers, it's more maybe intuitive how you help them with their voices. Share a little bit about how that shows up with professionals and the other ways besides the more overt way of using one's voice to sing and perform. Share a little bit about that, like how do you help people in those areas?
Yeah, well, I think the underpinnings are the same, interestingly, in that someone will come to me, whether a singer that says, I can't hit these notes, or a professional that says, I'm just not having the impact. And where there are similarities is that there's usually, I want to say always, but almost always, some overlapping of technical and emotional. So it might seem like a voice issue for a singer or a professional, like my voice is too nasalized, but often there's something emotional. So there's the similarity in that, but the difference is with professionals, public speakers, or I've worked with a lot of CEOs and people in HR, for example. There's people come to life, I think, and their careers in a very compartmentalized way. So I leave the house, I close that door, and then here I am at work, and how can I be more effective? And I have to sort of gently and lovingly, I hope, get them to open back up the door to their full lives and selves, because we can't really compartmentalize. What are the insecurities you have that you're trying to hide away? What are the things that you're trying to prove, overcome? Those are the things that they don't stay at home. They follow us into work. They follow us onto the stage. And we've got to make peace with them and let go of them so that we can be holistically here, vulnerable, which is power in my mind, present and expressed.
By the way, I love that. Vulnerable is power. That is
Oh,
so true. So
completely.
and I guess when I hear the word vulnerable, I also think about why people don't want to be vulnerable, which is the self protection part. And I'm curious because so much of self expression is releasing or coming to terms with or healing or mending the self protection. What
Mhm.
explain more in your world why self-protection happens and how to kind of jiggle that and jigger it or whatever so people can
Yeah.
free themselves up.
Yeah. Well, and I think you nailed it. I mean, I think life is a choice often between self-protection or self-expression, right? And whether it's kind of guarding something from the past or being here now. And it's just as a caveat, I want to say, of course, there are things that happen to us in life, abuses, and by self-protection, saying that that doesn't help, I don't, of course, mean that we want to put ourselves in unsafe
Right.
situations. But I think what happens after the fact is we walk through the world being guarded, and we don't recognize the energy it takes to be guarded. We think that that's helping us to be free, but it's actually taking an inordinate amount of energy. And it costs us something. It costs us our lives and certainly our self-expression. So I really try to help people recognize the cost of being self-protected, to put it down even for a moment so they can have that experience of, wait a minute, actually being vulnerable, being expressed, putting myself in what I've always perceived to be a vulnerable place allows me a sort of 360 or 180 panoramic view of the world. And I can actually see more clearly what may be coming at me and meet it with more grace rather than fear, which also leaves us much more powerful.
Mm. That's true. And I think the more that you're caught up in protecting yourself, in some ways that takes up so much energy that not only don't you allow others to see who you are,
Yeah.
this is what I think you're saying. This is kind of, I'm going to repeat back what's come up for me from
Yeah.
what you just said.
Yeah.
You're using all that energy, so you're not having the clarity on who someone else is because the energy of posturing and protection stops you from being fully present. So you don't really see who so neither people are connecting. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think too, Karen, and sorry if I'm interrupting you, but I
Oh, no.
think too that then we can get, you and I know we both can get woo woo, which I love the woo. But then you have to ask yourself, what are we protecting ourselves from anyhow? And it's not any longer sort of the fight or flight and actual death. It's an egoic death. It's judgment.
Mm,
And once you realize you can withstand any judgment, you realize, am I really trading my life for a concern of what other people might think, when we literally are all judgment machines?
mm,
Like, so
mm.
this is the work I do, intellectually with some, viscerally with others, intuitively with others, lovingly with others, to just help them get that, not intellectually, but viscerally see the landscape of it, put those things down, and finally, sometimes for the first time, be able to really be present and be in relationship and in life.
So, what is maybe one tool that you've used? And you could use it with an example because you have
Mhm.
so many different clients that you help. A tool that you've used with somebody that completely opened themselves up to a new way of living.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, somebody
Well,
said, before you answer,
yeah.
somebody said if you've been in survival mode since childhood, it's a struggle to release that. So,
Oh, yes.
so you could either come back to that
Mhm.
and tell me what you were originally going to say, and we'll come back to that. And
Yeah.
if anybody else wants to comment something and like to have Jennifer, while she's here, respond to,
Yeah.
please do.
Please.
I'll keep an eye out for your comments flying by as we talk.
And
But
please ask them on. Thank you so much for asking that. We'll definitely come back. I think, Karen, to your question about an interesting tool, one of my favorite tools is, and I with my singers, for example, I always say that the hardest singers to work with are the ones that have the smart singer disease. They're the really bright, bright, bright ones. And why that's hard is because, was it Einstein that said, or someone said, that we can't solve problems with the same tools that
yes.
with which we created them. And so trying to understand vocal technique, for example, might be a fascinating thing, but does it translate into the vocal result you want? For some, yes. In my experience, for most, not. So it's wonderful to work with professionals or couples or non-musicians and musicians with somatic tools, physical tools. So they might be saying, trying to negotiate with the intellect, for example, this wonderful question, well, what do I do if I been in survival mode. I help people get past the intellect, whether it's through breathing exercises or physical touch or just physical release where they can have their body go into a surrendered safe mode. And that juxtaposition between the body going, I'm okay, and the brain going, I'm not, for some people, they've never experienced either. And having the body, which is such a powerful communicator, say, in this moment, you are okay now. That challenges the belief of I'm not safe ever in a way that we can't with words or talk therapy necessarily. So having the ability to use the body, the voice, the breath, it's the most powerful tool in unraveling those belief, fear-based kind of constructs.
Hmm. Now I know it's very in as far as yoga and meditation and everything, everybody talks about the power of the breath.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you kind of use the breath as a tool in the work that you do?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite assignments, because you do a lot with breath
I
too.
do. I do. That's I'm interested because I
Yeah.
believe in that. I
Yeah.
totally do.
Well, I
So,
think most of us, one of the easiest things we can do, and one of my favorite things to do, especially for people that don't know they're not breathing well, I'm astounded by how many people walk through life holding their breath,
mm,
and it's endemic, or epidemic and endemic. But so one thing that's great to do is lie on your back, whether it's in bed or on a couch with your legs propped up so your lower back supported, hands on your belly, and actually see if you can allow the body to breathe. We are so used to actively breathing in, out. But when we're sleeping, we don't do that. That's otherwise we'd die, right? There's no Jennifer or Karen required in breathing. The
mm,
body does it. The diaphragm does it, and
mm.
the stomach muscles do the exhale, the diaphragm, the inhale. So first getting present to how am I actively helping or trying to help my breath process, which usually is doing more harm than help. Allowing yourself to feel that in and out breath without us being involved really helps to give a somatic experience of surrender, which then can help us lean into personal surrender. When we're on guard mentally, the breath is held, it's clenched. So getting the body to, for maybe some of the first time when we're awake, breathe on its own so that we can observe and witness and then bring that to our lives
I
can
love
be so helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are so many times when I don't realize if I'm nervous that I'm not breathing, and I've seen that. You know, it's so strange. It's
Mhm.
funny how that comes to us. I
Mhm.
love that you are, even though you said that we do share a little woo woo in common. Although
Cool.
I feel like sometimes I'm more one woo than woo woo. I'm just like a one. But I love what I love about you is you are like brilliant, like you know all of the science and you're an intellectual person, but and then you're like a creative, artistic, spiritual, like you are such a beautiful amalgam of this. So you can speak to people from all ways. You can speak to a creative person
Mm.
who's because you're a creative person, you could speak to a business person because you're a business person. So you have a way, and I guess that's your ability to do self-expression
Mm.
all different ways too. And now I'm wondering what that means. So once you're in your true self,
Mhm.
you can have the confidence to change how you talk depending upon who the person is in front of you to improve yourself. Could you explain that a little
Um,
bit? Because I know you've written about that
yeah.
too. So share that a little bit.
Well, first of all, I love you
I
too.
love
And you're so wonderful. I mean, just being with you is just like a love bath. I love it.
I got you.
But you have such, thank you for what you said. Yes, it's interesting because I think that, as you know, language is so powerful. There's like the sort of pejorative way of looking at it is being a chameleon to get people what they need. But the way I've always viewed it is I feel like I am fluent in various languages. And now this is woo woo woo. This is this woo.
Okay, I'll do a three woo. I'll do a three woo.
But when people ask me what I do, I genuinely, whether I say it out loud or not, I feel like my job is to love people. That is truly my job, is to love them. And what loving people allows me to do is to be over there with them and really, when I'm not concerned about this, because I'm genuinely not, I look at my work and hopefully my life, I mean, I'm not perfect, I'm human, but I look at it as being of service. It just makes me so happy to love people and say, what do they need and how can I serve and how can I support them?
Mm.
When I'm over there with them, I'm literally in their world, and in their world, they're speaking their language. And I have this ability to pop into their fluency and speak in a way that translates for them. So it
Mm.
is different. I mean, I'm talking to you feeling very genuinely like me, but I'm sure we're on a wavelength. And if I was with a CEO, I feel like I'd still very much be me, but I would be really paying close attention to, is what I'm saying making sense? If not, let me see if I can linguistically or even energetically say it differently. So it makes sense. And the minute it lands, I go, okay, that's it. And then I just keep loving and languaging until I help that person get the result they want, which is what I want.
Does that also have to do with when you say loving, which I, and that is you, you're a very loving person, is it also tapping into empathy or intuition? I'm just trying to break it
Mm.
down intellectually a little bit, how that, what that
Yeah.
is and why it's so powerful, because it is so
Mm.
powerful.
Yeah.
It's giving them the freedom to be themselves, the
Yeah.
safety that counteracts, I guess, their self-protection. Like, don't worry, I accept you and love you. Like, trying to just intellectually
Yeah.
understand
Hmm.
why that releases the
Yeah.
self-protection.
Right. Well, and and you do know that language is, it can be liberating, but also constraining. So love can be a word for people that's like, oh boy. So you're right. Maybe let me find other ways. I think yes, it's being with them. It's being with them, being committed to their feeling safe
Mhm.
and seen and known, which I guess
Ah,
empathy is a piece of it. But empathy to me has a divide. Like I empathize with you is like I am empathizing with you. I know we're brainstorming here together.
yeah,
Whereas being with you, like being over there with you or coming alongside of you, to me just feels like I'm holding your hand. We're lying on our backs in a field looking at the stars. We're just breathing together until all the fear falls away and we're just together. I don't know. Is this making
it does.
it's a,
It
it's
does.
not intellectual for me. It's very it's like it's a very feeling thing for
Yes,
me.
yes. And it is safety. And when you
Mm.
feel, and that is what we want in self-expression, is we want to be seen and heard. And that is self-expression, feeling somebody that will receive what I'm saying in a way that I feel like they get it,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know? So, um, I love that idea of even like thinking, I wonder, and now I'm just spitballing here,
Of course.
but like to think about like when people show up, I love what you said about like we're all kind of speaking different languages or different dialects of the same language, to really even listen for how they I don't know what their dialect is. You know, I don't know
Mhm.
what that is, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna like think about that.
Mhm.
And sometimes like even if I want my son, if I want to talk to him,
Yeah.
I would sometimes maybe use some of his lingo a
Mhm.
little bit, you know,
Yeah.
to make him feel like I get it. You
Yeah.
know, is that, I don't know, am I
Well,
spitballing too much? Am I
no,
trying
no, no.
to?
Well, spitballing back with you, I think for me it's less like the words, although we both have young sons and I try, so I'm hopelessly uncool as he lets me know. So I don't even try to speak his actual language. But what I do, I think where the language piece is that what keeps us from speaking one another's language or the universal language, I think, is our own fears and insecurities and wounds and assumptions
Yes,
and
yes.
personalizing things. So for me, in my marriage, in my relationship with my son, and in life, and certainly in my work, it's going, what is blocking my ability to hear the language of
Mhm.
love or connection? And usually it's like something over here. We think it's over there with people, but it's not, it's me. For example, if someone said to me, your hair is too blonde and your butt is too small, it wouldn't even ping me. I'd be like, well, that's interesting. I'm curious. Let me be over there and tell me why you think that. But if someone said to me, your hair is too curly and your butt's too big, I might be like, you know. But
Right.
see, they're speaking the same word. They're saying there's the same person talking. It's
Right.
to whether it hits me in a way that just takes me away from them.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
that's more what I mean by fluency. Can I get out of the way all of my stuff so I can be over there with them and there's nothing blocking me from hearing and being in their language, even if, of course, their words might ping me in some in an unintentional or intentional way, but can I stay over there with them so I can get them what they need?
Okay. So here is where I want to go next as like a tying everything up into with like a
Love-
big wrap up
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I want to hear in whatever order you want to tell me the joys of being in this place of self-expression so people
Mhm.
get excited about living a life like that.
Yeah.
And then the type
Mhm.
of people that could help you and how if they reached out to you
Mhm.
you could work with them to deal with some of these things. So in any order of that, just create a world where I am fully expressed, what that feels like.
Oh, well, and you said one of my favorite words is joy. And I think that we've all had those magical moments. I hope that we all have where time falls away, everything falls away, our sense of self falls away, and we're in this present moment where we just feel like everything's technicolor and we're fully alive and enlivened, but also completely at ease.
Mm,
And there's no fear. To me, and again, I'm trying to find words for something that's impossible to reach with
yeah,
language, but
yeah.
to me, that life, walking through the world with, there's nothing that can stop me from my commitment and my experience of being here and being present. That it's the ultimate freedom and
Mm,
power. It is. And power is another one of those words that seems like force. I don't mean force, but it's just it's just a wonderful way to walk through the world.
yes,
And to your gracious question, that's the work I love to do. And my website's findingyourvoice.com. People can find me there and ask me questions, send an email, do a consult. Because I do, like you, I love what I do, and it's a joy.
yes,
It's a
yes.
joy. And it is an ultimate joy for me.
I
So
love it. I love it. Well, what I'm going to do is when I post this, I'm going to put your website there and you can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_Hamady. You'll see that also when we leave. And thank you so much for joining. You know, I really, from my heart, love you. And I really know how I know all the different people that you've helped and those stories and examples, and if we could stay on longer and share more of those, everybody could hear how much you can help them to live their most self-expressed life, you know?
my
So
dear friend.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Love you. And thanks, everyone. And I'm sorry that we didn't get to your question, but please reach out to
Yeah.
Karen or me, and we will definitely answer.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, dear friend.
Okay.
Lots of love. And thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.